Welcome back. TOT Star Wars. The boys are here in full effect. Make sure you check us out on all platforms. We appreciate the support recently, especially the Discord. You're going to want to join the Discord. We're doing a cool video, people calling in, debating and whatnot. You're only going to be able to access that from the Discord, so hop in there. Today, we are debating, honestly, one of the crown jewel topics. What is the best Star Wars movie?
I think there's three clear choices, in my opinion. I think it's really two, and I think it's one. I think there's one that is the absolute lock, but we'll see. I know we're going to be on different sides for this.
Very interesting way of explaining that there.
Well, I think there's three choices that people pick between.
Okay, I got you.
Across everything that some people say Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back. I think those are pretty consensus, the three best across for majority of people. I will go.
You call your shot.
Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie.
Oof.
Stone, where are you at?
Oof. Empire Strikes Back, baby.
Me as well.
Biggest plot twist ever.
Hold it down. If you go ahead, Rob, before we start yelling, I'm holding it down with you as well, though. Stone, Empire Strikes Back 100%.
Are we just going to ignore The Last Jedi here?
Don't do this right now.
Are we going to ignore the... Are we going to ignore it?
Don't do this.
I'm just kidding. I'm Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, my
Screw
God.
The
I
Last
thought the
Jedi.
propaganda machine was going to be in full effect.
Let's get them back on our sides. Let's go.
All right. We are back where we're supposed to be. Rob, if anybody else did that, I would have scoffed. But just knowing you, there was a legitimate chance, and I thought this before we started, there was a legitimate chance you were going to attempt to push that agenda.
Yeah, there was thoughts. There's thoughts out there. There's thoughts lurking.
So we got two Revenge of the Siths over there on the left. We got Empire Strikes Back, the correct side over here on the right. It was always kind of a two-horse race. You know, I love Return of the Jedi as much as the next guy. Great conclusion to the 6-story saga that ends after Return of the Jedi. Conversation for another day. But like Stone said, Empire Strikes Back. I mean, this is potentially the greatest movie ever made. Not just Star Wars. This is one of the greatest films ever.
That's wild. How? We're not going to debate if Empire Strikes Back is the movie ever.
I mean, I love. Don't get me wrong, boys. I love the love story aspect. I'm a love story guy. I'm soft. I love the love story. I love the love story aspect in episode 3 with Padme. But the writing's just not there for me. I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's very strong. But, dude, Harrison Ford is one of the best actors of all time. I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. I love Harrison Ford. And his love story really develops here shortly after Luke was kissing his sister, like we always talk about here.
That's one of the best parts of that movie, honestly.
But that's honestly like one of my favorite parts of the movie that slept on is that whole like love story throughout that whole movie.
It's written so
awesome.
Well. The scene in the Falcon is one of the best written scenes in all of Star Wars. It's so electric.
I mean, it's pretty cute of you guys to try to mask the love story of episode 3 with episode 5's. Episode 3's love story trumps it any day of the week. The only thing I can give you, though, for episode 5 is the acting in the prequels in general is pretty subpar.
Besides,
bro gave us 0 reasons why the love story in episode 3 is better. He just said it's better.
It's way more developed. The dude love for
it's just more developed though.
No reason. Love for a woman determines the whole next 3 movies. Just because of his love for a woman.
The writing's not as better love story. That's my argument was the writing's not as good.
To me, I mean, I guess this is kind of bringing it across all 3 movies, but like Anakin's biggest problem is the loving aspect of him and seeing that kind of come to fruition in the 3rd movie. I guess that's technically relying on the first 2, but also in the 3rd movie specifically, we see that shift go from this lighthearted guy to now being the most feared person in the galaxy in an instant.
Because was his turn too quick in episode 3? Take the Clone Wars out of it. Was his turn too quick?
You can't take the Clone Wars out of it because that's another argument with it. Having the Clone Wars as a show just makes episode 3 even better. Adds so much more lore.
I'll watch the Clone Wars one time.
What do you guys have to add to episode 5?
You don't need to add anything because it's all on screen.
No,
it's all done beautifully on screen. There's no need to add these shows in between, and it's not necessary. You know, George knew the movie was going to be amazing. He big brained and big balled the studios, put up his own money from episode 4 to make episode 5 the way he wanted to. They wanted to come in there, make a sequel. How do you make a sequel? Normally, you make it exactly like the first one that does well. He wanted to go the complete flip opposite. It ends with the bad guys winning. It ends with, dude, if you walked out of The Empire Strikes Back when it came out, you would have been like, what the f is going on? You think Han's gone forever. Luke just got his ass kicked by Darth Vader. You're finding out that he's his father. Dude, walking out of that theater, you would have been rattled. Absolutely rattled.
I mean, if we're going to talk battles here,
Dude,
the battles alone in episode 3 just completely outweigh any battle in episode 5. Every single one. Dooku and Anakin and Obi-Wan. Anakin and Obi-Wan, the most iconic battle of Star Wars.
I disagree.
What's better then?
Luke versus Vader in episode 6. There's far more emotion. There's
Episode
far more
6,
emotional.
We're not talking episodes. No one's here talking.
I know, but you said it's the best battle in Star Wars, which it's not.
It's better than anything in episode 5.
I would make an argument that the battle on Cloud City between Darth Vader and Luke is right.
No, it's
right
not better
there.
though.
That is,
It has better.
I said up
that
there.
is,
It
If
has
you
a
were saying
better.
that's
It has a better
better than
ending.
no.
It has a better ending and plot twist. Yes.
It's
That's
right
it.
up.
It's not even a battle. It's not even a battle.
It is. It's an electric battle, and you see Luke is he's not as strong as he thinks he is. He's leaving Dagobah. He's getting by Vader. Vader's playing with him, but then there's that moment he jumps out of the carbonite freeze chamber, and you're like, oh shit.
Okay. Also too, I heard the biggest plot twist is in episode 5.
It is.
Order 66.
If you were, yeah, it's a
Order
great plot twist.
Yeah, it's better. It's better
wonderful.
than
Not to the
It's
fans,
better.
though.
I would also agree. I think the third act of episode 3 is the best, maybe 45 minutes of Star Wars that there is. But movies in whole, it's not a better movie from.
I've heard you say more good stuff about episode 3 on this call than you've said about episode 5.
Not accurate because I'm letting you guys talk before I go full virgin mode.
Matt, if you want to add something before Finn said, like I don't even know what Finn's gonna go with here.
no, I mean, you just want to talk visually, just like watching
Dude, the movie is 30 years older.
I know, but I'm
That's
saying
another
Choreography-
reason that it's better. Is better graphics.
choreography.
Before there was CGI, there was George Lucas, matte paintings, miniatures. Don't even do that.
Okay,
Glass paintings.
choreography wise, the fight scenes are a
You even
million
goat
times
Nick
better.
Gillard carrying the whole movie.
Yeah, that's a part of the movie. Like, what do
Finn,
you, what do you
Finn's
mean?
like Finn's points are it's better. What do you mean?
No, that's not okay.
We
okay.
act like
That's
the
your
movie
points,
is made by
Rob.
fucking two different
That's
guys.
your points.
First of all, with episode 5, like I said about leaving the theater, that's a whole separate thing. But even just watching it for the first time ever, besides the fact again that there's the biggest reveal in cinema history, the weight and tension throughout that movie, you don't know when he's going to catch them. You don't know how he's going to catch them. You don't even know if he's going to catch them in the first place, to be honest, because you're expecting it to be lighthearted. The moment in Cloud City when they walk in and Vader blocks all the bullets with his hand, he's like, we've been something we've been expecting. I don't know exactly what it was. It's just done so masterfully and so opposite of what the general public thought it was going to be after a lighthearted movie like episode 4, Farm Boy, whatever, blows up the Death Star. The dark undertones, Luke going to day. I mean, we're talking about the creation of Yoda here, the best puppeteering probably ever done in any movie. The whole Dagobah stuff by itself, the undertones. Luke kills Darth Vader in the cave, and then he sees it's his face, and you're watching, and you're like, wait, what? Is he just maybe envisioning himself turning to the dark side? You probably don't think is this his father, but you're like, why the f- is that his face? Whatever. And then it stops. It's gone, and it leaves you to think about it because it was actually written and directed well. They don't answer questions for you. They make you think about them, and then boom, drop it on your head later on the above the shaft in Cloud City. It's so beautifully written and so beautifully acted.
If
I don't
take
think it's
that-
bad to argue too that the general public also agrees with Finn and I that episode 5 is the
People
greatest
our
Old
age, I
heads.
don't think so,
Old
but in
heads.
total,
of
I
all
think.
time. Like,
Well, I think there's definitely a factor for old heads that saw it in theaters. I think that's a factor of seeing it in the theater is a big draw.
all
Like,
right,
if
you
you
got
did-
Gen Z bumheads that smoke weed 9 to 5, and they
Rob.
ooze to episode 3.
But I'm saying
The same thing.
The aspect of going to see it in the theaters, if you just took the movie,
Okay, but that matters.
Okay,
yeah.
listen.
If you watched episode 3 without seeing any of the other movies and you just put on episode 3, that turn and all of Anakin flipping and all of that, that's a
You'd be
crucial part of
lost.
it. What?
You'd be lost.
We're not talking about
No, you would
watching
not.
it just straight up.
He just brought that up.
If you watched the movies side by side and you took one movie and you took the other one, I think that the flip of Anakin and all of the sequences that lead up to it are just as impactful and crazy as Lucas. That's your biggest selling point. That's the
Can I bring up one thing? There's one thing I do know about Rob. Rob used to love episode 5, and he used to love episode 5 more than he loved episode 3. Rob, why has this changed over time?
Okay, I can easily answer this question because I used to be an episode 5 guy.
Nostalgic factor.
I switched to episode 3 probably about 3 or 4 years ago.
You were 30.
And
He came out of the closet.
I just want to. I'm just going to put it out here. Just the depth that is added into episode 3 of everything that's culminating together at the same time. Finn, I've only heard you talk about Cloud City the entire time. You've talked about one aspect, and Dagobah. You talk about Dagobah for like 2 seconds.
I talked about them being chased the entire time.
You talked about a puppet. You talked about a puppet being made. Like here we go.
I haven't been able to fight for episode 5 at all.
Listen. Just listen. The rise of Palpatine, the fall of Anakin, the fall of the Jedi Order, all going on in the span of like an hour of the movie. Like
politics.
There's no politics is barely even a factor in episode 3.
That's not true because he literally takes over the entire Senate.
Yeah, but off of a small little piece of politics. It's not like it's politics the whole time.
That is almost the main point of the movie, is him getting the complete control of the Senate to be able to turn the general public against the Jedi.
But they're not talking about politics the whole time.
You want to say that the whole point of why episode 5 is better is because of the darkness of it and the turn and all of that.
Oh, it's about everything. It's about everything. You start off on a snow planet. How do we take down these giant, massive things that are coming out? They're helpless. They have nothing. The Jedi in episode 3 have everything. They're literally they're kings in a war. They get turned against.
The movie starts with Anakin killing a Sith Lord. He beheads him in the movie.
What does that mean?
It's sick.
You're saying a snow planet is like opening to episode 3 is probably the best opening in any of the Star Wars movies.
They're dogs in trenches trying to make ends meet.
How are we gonna blow up this massive ship? We have no firepower. Let's shoot.
We don't know what the fuck.
Let's shoot a tow cable at it.
What is this big dog looking thing coming at us gonna do? Like, how are we gonna take this down? And they wrap it. It's iconic, bro.
I get it. You like an underdog story.
But the thing is,
they're
like
both underdogs,
and then they lose.
They lose too. The Jedi lose.
I know, but it doesn't feel. I'm just saying.
What do you mean it doesn't feel? Every single person besides 4 characters die.
Yeah, because Jedi.
Yeah, but you end on such. I'm not saying you don't end on a low note in episode 3, right? But everything seems like okay, like Anakin's gonna come back, and like we know it's gonna happen. But like back then, if you only watched episode 5, you end that like Finn said. You have no clue. It's a cliffhanger. Everyone loves a movie that ends on a low. This is such a low.
Expecting it.
100%.
This movie just has a lot more highs and lows.
You would than that does. What the fuck happened? If you just watched
so many more highs and lows. It's crazy.
Highs and lows. Episode 3 is up and down the whole time. Anakin can't decide what he wants to do. Like Palpatine's trying to figure him out. The Jedi Order is trying to figure out what they're doing. They're spying on each other. Like there's so much more.
You just mentioned a whole bunch of politics shit.
There's no politics. There's no politics.
Vintage sheep.
Clip, chat, clip.
Look, I am as far removed from IRL politics, and if anyone probably in the United States.
Whoa, where are we going with this one?
I'm just saying, I genuinely think that the politic aspect of the movie is not like a huge bad thing. Like I don't understand why that's not.
They're grasping at straws once again. They're grasping at straws.
Like I don't get what's the problem with it.
The flow of episode 5 is also far more digestible and enjoyable than
Because
the flow
it's
of
slow.
episode 3.
Because it's
not,
slow.
it's not slow at all. The dialogue and the acting is
yeah.
what keeps you engaged, as
You don't
opposed to
have-
flashy visuals. You're basically saying, okay, what movie looks better? What's more like
Flashy visuals. This is the kid that can't watch Star Wars without lightsabers.
I'm talking about a movie that has far less lightsaber duels and saying I enjoy it more. So what does that mean?
That you can't make up your mind. That you lie.
The story.
Yeah, but it's like a very serious tone. I get what Finn's saying here, though. It's a very serious toned movie. Not a lot of jokes are being cracked, and it's awesome.
But the jokes that are cracked hit. Even just a scene like Han going down in carbonite, how Stone saying Han's aura is through the roof, which he doesn't carry the movie, but he's one of the best parts of that movie by far. Even just him going down the shaft with the I love you, I know, and stuff like that. The whole movie builds to them like getting together, whatever. It's the last time he's ever going to see her. And he just drops the I know bomb on her. Like all these moments they just hit so fucking hard. Luke also calling out to Leia with the Force, electrifying. That's just showing kids at the time you don't know that they're brother and sister. And this is also spoken by George. That was to hammer down the point that the Force is for everybody. So he called out to his friend, and his friend came and scooped him up right under the bottom of the shaft. That's just sick.
They'll do stuff like that in episode 3. If we're gonna argue episode against episode.
Like I think in your heads, if you are thinking
our genius brains.
I think you keep basing points on that you don't like, as if you didn't know what happens, and I think that's the main reason you don't think episode 3 is.
That's how you watch a movie.
What?
Yeah, that's how you.
We're talking about.
You're saying episode 3. You're saying episode 3 is a bad
episode 3 is the second best movie in Star Wars history.
Finn, I'm saying that if you go and you're watching the movies for the first time, and say you're watching them 1 through 3, you've known nothing about what happens, like that. There's still that aspect of not knowing in episode 3 to just as much of an extent.
Yeah,
the plot
I feel like
at the end and the cliffhangers are still very, very much present. What's going to happen with the Jedi Order? What's going to happen to Anakin?
There's kind of a resolution.
Like
there's a resolution now.
Huh?
There's kind of a pretty strong resolution to episode 3.
Because you know what happens. Because you already know what happens.
That's what I'm saying. You're basing it totally on you knowing what happens after.
Even if you didn't.
You just think about how that movie ends.
Anakin if you know about high ground economics, you know that Obi-Wan's gonna win.
The only cool part of the coolest part of that fight is that Anakin had heard rumors throughout the Jedi Temple that Obi-Wan killed Darth Maul at the high ground.
Have you ever? Okay, that's decent
cool.
point.
That's cool. No, I'm saying that's cool.
But have you ever, Finn? I know you're a guy that may shed a tear. You may shed a tear or two watching a movie every now and then. Have you ever shed a tear watching episode 5?
100%.
That's a lie. That's a lie. So you're capping so hard, and I know you've cried more for episode 3 because we've talked about
every time
this.
I watch episode 3.
Yeah, and because it's a good.
What a low ball bringing emotion.
I'm an emotional guy. This is dude. Should we lobby for a few other films right now? I don't want this to be episode 3 and episode 5 centered.
I mean, honorable mentions. I mean,
I would say
Rogue One.
Rogue One's a great film.
Rogue One's a good
film.
Honorable mention episode 2, one that gets a lot of hate. Attack of the Clones. Ewan McGregor really comes out.
This is beautiful.
Let me say real quick. Ewan McGregor, he really comes out of his shell in this movie. You know, he really comes his own. The music and visuals done really well. It has one of the best quotes. I hate sand.
I don't like sand.
And it dropped the best sound ever. Cue the sound. Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
No, I think episode 2 is in a tight race for episode 5 with me personally.
Wow.
Yeah, that's my hot take.
I'm up there with that. I'm with that.
And I like episode 2, but
I'm very high in episode 2. Always been, always will be.
I almost put that as number 1.
Episode 2.
I love episode 2.
If I was debating it, I almost did, but I just have to.
That would have been wild if Matt and
Are we all in agreement that episode?
I was talking to Rob before this, dude. I'm gonna go episode 2.
Don't say it, Rob.
Are we all in agreement that episode 6 is not top 5?
No, come on, don't do that. Episode
6 is not top 5.
Episode 6 is the 3rd best Star Wars movie.
Episode 6
that
is
is
top 3,
that is Rogue One. That is Rogue One right there. It's number 3.
No. Don't do that. You have a platform with people who listen. Don't say stuff like that.
No, episode 6. Episode 6 is not top 5.
Oh my fucking god! I can't even
that's
believe
wild,
that
Rob.
we're.
This
I
is-
can't
this
even
is
believe we're
gonna
on.
be-
Rob, you may be for that statement.
Episode 6 might be better than episode 3.
That-
Episode
It's not
6
even-
is
It's
Dude.
the worst of the trilogy.
That's
It's the
not
worst
crazy.
of
That's
the
not
It's the
crazy.
worst
That's
of
not
the
crazy.
OG
That's fine.
trilogy.
it's not ridiculous to say that. Episode 6 is
It's
better
the
than
worst
episode
of the
4.
That it's the worst of the OG.
No, what I just said. Episode 6 is better than episode 4.
That is not true.
I
That is
agree.
not
Yes,
true
it
at
is.
all.
Yes, it is.
It's more
Yes,
fun.
it is.
Wild.
Yeah. I
Episode
think
3 is
episode 4
wild.
is the
See,
worst
Luke
Star
and
Wars.
Luke
The worst
is.
Star Wars out of the 6.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, you think? Wait,
wow.
what did you just say, Matt?
Out of the first 6, I think A New Hope's the worst one personally.
Oh my God, that is
Yeah.
also a whole other can of worms. So
No, I know.
That's
I
one of
know
the
it
most-
is. I'll own it.
That's crazy.
It is
I'll own it.
ridiculous to say that.
I'll own it.
We're
And
not
to
gonna
be
give. We're
honest-
not gonna give.
To be honest, a lot of it does have to do with how old the movie is. That is a huge factor for me. It is.
About
Sorry.
2 years before episode 5, which whatever. That's a ridiculous point.
I just think the writing and everything else in episode 5 and 6 help more so that like it allows me to
that you
episode 4 I think is too like there's not enough going on for me in my head for that to
That's
be
unbelievable.
better. And it's also just not
Rob, you don't remember watching episode 5? Real quick, Rob, you don't remember watching episode 5 on that small little monitor in my basement and how much we enjoyed that?
Talking the
about
whole time we
nostalgia.
thought we were watching.
Whoa,
We thought we were
whoa.
watching.
The
We
whole
thought we were watching
time we-
episode 4 the whole time. We got
Bro,
like
we
halfway
were-
through. We're like, this is episode 5.
Dude, we were gonna watch 4, 5, and 6 in order, and then watch 1, 2, and 3, do a little marathon. And we were so dumb. We were watching episode 5 and thought it was like we were like, wait, that's
How old were you?
Middle school.
Maybe like 10.
All right, that's
yeah I remember
Nah, we
me
were
and
there.
Maybe like 8. Maybe like 8.
Revenge
Finn
of the
showed
Sith.
me
Matt?
Revenge of the Sith when I was like 8. Finn was just
Yeah,
sitting
me
there
and
for a while
Matt had
beat up.
some good 8-year-old Revenge of the Sith runs. But like, you got a movie like episode 6, and we could do a whole trilogies debate. That'd be a good video as well. If episode 1 through 3 or episode 4 through 6 is better, that'd be pretty electric too.
I
We'll
feel
get
like
there.
yeah, I just feel like everyone that's on episode 5 being the best is always going to say that trilogy's better, and everyone that's on episode 3 is going to say that one's better. But maybe I'm
But-
wrong.
But again, notice how we haven't mentioned any sequel movies here, and we won't unless you're Rob. Episode 6, like the resolution, and again, just even the throne room scene, the emotional weight in that fight, and Vader then brings up that he goes, okay, if you won't turn, I'm gonna track Leia down. And you could see the switch flip in Luke's eyes. He starts fighting with so much anger. Then he realizes it when Palpatine's like, use your anger and strike him down. The moment he throws that lightsaber and the camera's on his face and he's like, says that I'm a Jedi, father before me thing. That
And
might
then what
be
does he? And then what does he do after that, Finn?
he gets electrocuted and then uses his love for his father to save the galaxy.
No, I was gonna say he walks out of there alone, but that's
Walk
just
out
'cause
there
the only
alone. He
point you've
walks out of
ever
there with-
the only point you've
walk
ever been able to make.
Walk
But
out of there with the most powerful Sith Lord over his shoulder and the other one down the shaft. But that resolution is that might even be better than the third act of Revenge of the Sith. That's the most emotional weighted scene of the entire 6 movies. Fact.
I'll
were
give you that.
wild.
I'll give you. I think it's the
That's
most
not-
emotional scene.
That's an absolute fact, dude.
There's
And
nothing
you-
more emotional than Mustafar, and that's not even. In
I will make one point for Revenge of the Sith, even though I am 100% team episode 5. I mean, I know I mentioned it, but the third act of that film is really spectacular. There's not even that many words to describe the score of Revenge of the Sith. You could make because Imperial March was episode 5. The score is one of the best scores of all the Star Wars movies as well. Battle of the Heroes is an unbelievable track. The March of the 501st March Temple is an unbelievable track. But again, then you have songs like the Imperial March in episode 5. You have the Cloud City theme, which is a beautiful theme.
Shout out John Williams.
The GOAT, the all-time greatest, and it's not particularly close. This Rogue One also, I think, should get a little love. Rogue One's a lot better than people say.
Yeah,
Although
what?
I think it's getting a little
Top
bit.
three.
It's
I
having a
want
bit
to
of a
rewatch that Han Solo. I want to watch the Solo movie again.
that
haven't
took a
watched
lot
it
of
yet.
flack for being after The Last Jedi, and I think people were just turned off. But I think it's a decent movie.
Solo's a good movie.
Yeah, like it's not bad. I just don't really like. I remember it, but at the same time, it's like is it actually good or bad? Like I don't really remember like where I would put
Great
it.
love,
if I
great
was
love
back-
story in that as well.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
chick's so
I just don't know where I would put
So
it
hot.
throughout all of them. I have to rewatch.
Oh, with Han Solo and Chewbacca? Yeah, what a great love story.
She might be the hottest woman in Star Wars. Shout out Cara Dune, though.
That's not ridiculous to say. Well, not the Cara Dune thing, but what you just said, what you just said about what's her name again?
Oh,
I can't
good
remember.
bad.
Yeah, that's
I can't
not
remember her
ridiculous.
name.
I feel like we all kind of knew this was going to turn into a 5-3 heavyweight battle. And if you asked random people on the street, I'm sure it would also end that way. And it just comes down to what you like more.
I think. What do you think?
Or
if-
you're wrong.
We'll end on this. What do you think if you asked 100 people? What do you think the percentage would
Depends.
be? I think it would be.
We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out here soon.
That's true. I think it would be 55. Empire
Episode 5.
Strikes Back.
Yeah.
35. Revenge
Well,
of the
that's
Sith.
not.
At 40, and then 5% Return of the Jedi.
If you asked our fans, I think they'd say episode 3 is the greatest episode
Yeah,
of all
they're going to
time.
be very.
Yeah, I
Because
think
we have an
episode-
18 to 24 demographic. They're going to be leaning.
Yeah,
heavily.
we're 18 to 24, and then whatever.
Jedi Stone switching sides. Episode 3 is the greatest of all time.
Also, I'm gonna pop up this not subscribe thing. If you made it this long, just subscribe. We
Yeah.
have a lot of viewers that are not subscribed, and we would like
you just
them to
sat
be
with us
subscribed.
spewing for that long. You gotta drop a sub. Check us out on TikTok. Check us out on IG. Check us out. Join the Discord. Those are all linked in the bio. Again, the Discord's electric. Yeah, Matt, take us out of here.
Like, comment, subscribe, and peace.